life of pain and misery will extinguish great artists and stop great careers long before they ever had a chance to flourish. This is Believer's Diaries, and today we're talking about a very sensitive topic: why gospel musicians convert to secular music. Joining me on this conversation is Reverend Isaac McAbraham. My name is Lady Glow. This is a conversation you really don't want to miss. Let's get right in. Hello, Reverend McAbraham. You're welcome to Believer's Diaries.
Thank you very much.
So glad to have you here to discuss on a very sensitive topic. Today we're talking about why gospel musicians convert to secular music. In your own perspective, what do you think are some of the reasons why gospel musicians convert to secular?
All right, thank you very much for this platform to share this message across there.
You're welcome.
This is a critical topic that needs critical consideration.
All right.
So when you ask me, in my perspective, what is it about this transition from gospel music into secular music? The first thing I would like to lay down before we go into the points or reasons is, we are living in a world whereby we have the spiritual life and we have the physical life. But when our focus becomes so much of the spirit life, then we lay aside the physical needs of the people and focus on the spirit aspect only, which is not supposed to be so.
Okay.
Now, the first reason why gospel musicians, some are moving from the gospel setup into the worldly setup is simply because of lack of financial support in the church.
All right.
You understand me?
Sure.
We have this popular statement which says that they are working for God.
Exactly.
But one of the questions I like to ask almost all the time is that, with all due respect, the man of God or woman of God heading the church, have you by any means or at any time taken something from the church?
Sure.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So if you are saying they are working for God, and you are working for God, yet you still have something taken from the church, then it means that then you are not working for God.
Exactly.
But they are working for God. Because if you are working for God, you don't need to be paid.
All right.
You understand my logic?
So if you are paid, then the musician also
should be paid.
Exactly.
But I'm not also advocating here that it should be a certain financial structure to be paying the musicians or the singers in the church.
Exactly.
But rather, there should be something laid down as a motivational factor.
Okay.
To help motivate these musicians to do the work with all excitement and joy.
All right.
So here lies the case whereby they are in the church, yes, they are still looking outside, seeing their colleagues making a hit out there. So anybody who wants physical needs or anybody who is living in a world whereby certain physical needs to be met, the person will try to find a way out there to make a living. So at the end of the day, they will move because there's no financial support in the church.
There is no
Yet when they go outside, there's a financial support for them. So why should I stay here when I can make it there?
Right.
So that's the number one reason why most gospel musicians are moving into the secular aspect of the world.
Well, lack of financial support in the church is what is actually moving the gospel musicians to the secular world. So aside the lack of financial support, is there any other reasons why they still persist to move to the secular?
Sure. The second reason under consideration here is lack of promotional structures in the church.
Right.
And this has to do with the church is having instruments, the church is having cameras, the church is having a mixer board, which when they put all these together, they can set up a studio.
It's a whole music studio.
Serious one. They can set up a studio that can be recording these people.
Exactly.
And they're putting them out there across the world. And some of the churches, their only intention or their focus is subjecting these talents to the confines of the church.
Right.
So, aside singing in the church, they don't see them coming up. But if the man of God can be on these cameras and that's what's making him make a hit, why don't you also put these same musicians who are singing for you on the camera so they can also make the same hit? Because other churches are promoting their talents.
Sure.
And they are making hits out there.
Yeah.
You invite them into your church, they sing on your pulpit or on your podium, and you pay them. And yet your musicians are there. Who promotes who for who to call and they pay?
I love the point.
If talent is special and you need talent in your church to come and advance or enhance your program to go on well, why don't you enhance the one in your church so that you become stable and solid people in your church whereby you can call them without necessarily paying that huge amount of money? Understand it?
I do.
So we need to put structures in the church to support these people to come up. Those who need guitar, we need to buy them, assist them and buy guitar for them. Those who need instruments, any kind of instrument that will facilitate their music career, we need to equip them with it. Even if not individual, we should have a certain amount of money designated to help and support all those in the church who are carrying those talents to come up. So if you are not doing these particular things, the same instrument you are using in your church is the same instrument the worldly man is having out there.
The studio.
And you are training the vocals of these people. And they will end up using what you've equipped them with, give it to the world, pick it up, and then scoop all your souls back into the world.
Wow, you're really making a very great point. And I know there are some musicians out there who are watching and they are like, wow, this man of God is actually hitting my point. I know they are smiling right now. So, men of God, with all due honor and respect, I recommend that you put some measures like how the man of God has just spoken. You put all these measures in place so that the talent wouldn't sway away but will be in it and they'll use it to glorify God. So, aside all these, how is the church responding to such people? Or like, what are they putting in place? Are they just sitting there and saying that, okay, whatever they do with their life, or they are doing something, they are putting measures in place to help prevent those people trying to move from the gospel to the secular music?
I must admit that there are some churches that are doing very well.
Right.
Like some of the big stars, gospel stars all over the world are coming from some churches.
Exactly.
And it's a church who support them, motivate them, encourage them, put measures in place to lift them to that point. So some of the churches are doing very well. And it is going on. We have some of the big stars in our country here, including other countries.
Okay.
And they came out of churches.
The church.
So it does not mean that gospel does not take you far.
Okay.
But it's about the people you are staying with. Some of the churches are helping their stars to come up. You understand me?
Yeah.
They are really promoting, they are really pushing into them. And they are making them big time artists in the country. But there are some too which are not doing anything at all. So actually, I must admit that some of the churches are doing very well. And I must say that kudos to those women of God and men of God who are doing faithfully in the service of God, helping these artists to come up.
Right.
By so doing, we are preserving the souls, and they are also complementing our effort in spreading the gospel across the countries.
Exactly. So just as you're saying that some churches are helping to promote these talent, but some of them are not doing it at all. So looking into the camera, what do you think will be your advice to the churches that are not so much focusing on the talents that are in the church, but they are focusing elsewhere? What is your advice to the church and also the musicians who have made up their mind to convert to the secular music? What is your last words for them?
All right. With all due respect, I want to address the church first.
Right.
And this is what I want to see, that let us do our best and put financial measures in place so as to help these artists financially. Because if we don't do that, there's somebody outside there who is going to do it and then take them out of the church. For instance, just like you having a daughter in the house and you are not taking care of the physical needs of this daughter. And there's another guy out there who is ready to support financially.
Expect abortion.
The daughter will move and at the end of the day, they will bring disgrace to the house.
Exactly.
And you will think the daughter is stubborn or is bad. But a need drove her out of the house to do what she did.
Sure.
So the church should be able to put financial measures in place to support and promote these talents in the church. And the second thing I would like to advise out here is that let's do our best and put in place promotional structures which have to do with buying these media equipments and then putting these structures in place, helping these artists to come up. Some of them need promoters. If you have to go for money and then get them promoters to promote them, you have to do it. Some of them need managers. And there are people within the church having those amount of money to help these talents come up. So if only we can pave way for them. There are people who pick these talents up and make them big hits in the country. Now, to the musicians who are trying to transit from the gospel into the secular, I would like to advise you that patience pay a lot. The fact that the church is not doing anything about your talent does not mean that you should be in a hurry to move out of it. You understand me? What you need to do is you have to be patient and wait on God. God in his own appointed time, if he indeed give you that talent, he'll bring you out. And also I would like to advise them that the gospel pays a lot. and the gospel can make you a star, not only the secular.
Yeah.
So if you stay within the gospel and then push whatever you are doing with the little effort, God himself will add up what is supposed to add up and make you the star you are looking for. He will send you helpers, he will send you people, even not from the church directly. Somebody out there will see your work and will call upon you and say, come and let me help you.
Yeah.
And then the final conclusion to summarize everything is that I want to let the church understand that don't try to stop the talent of these young men and women. When an external person comes in and says, I want to pick this person up, don't say this is my church member. We are focusing on kingdom development and expansion.
Yeah.
So whoever will pick up that talent, manufacture it with something big for transformation in our world, let's pave way for them and let them go out.
Exactly.
So let us do our best, both the church and the church members, including the musicians all together, and help each other to stand out. Nobody should try to suppress anybody, but let's give equal platform for everybody to come up in the gospel setup. So that's my words to the public.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've really spoken. You've really hit punchlines. Alright, so this is where we bring our conversation to a close, and it has been why musicians, especially gospel musicians, try to convert to secular music. We have learned that the churches should support them financially and also establish equipment, media equipment to promote them so as to bring their talent out, because they need sponsorship and promotion. A little encouragement, resources, and money will make a gospel musician a better one. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been Believers Diaries, and my name is Lady Glow. Keep watching Believers Diaries. I'll come your way some other time. Stay blessed.